In the world of freestyle motocross, one man reigns supreme. He's made the most starts on the Red Bull X-Fighters Tour. He's won the most head-to-heads. He's accumulated the most points. And he's the reigning FMX World Champion. And he did all of that last year with a broken foot.
Hi, I'm Dany Torres and welcome to my life.
We travelled to Dany Torres' hometown in southern Spain to meet his family.
I feel great in this town. I'm surrounded by good people here, not just family.
Discover the importance of his father to Dany's career.
The truth is that he's never once gone to train or compete on his own. I always have to be there.
Find out what drives him on to be the best.
When he finished, he was crying, just in floods of tears because he was so frustrated.
And push a little bit too hard for some exclusive access at home. Freestyle motocross is one of the most exhilarating sports around, and the Red Bull X-Fighters Tour takes the top riders to a series of stunning venues in major cities around the world. In the past few years, Dany Torres has proved himself the man to beat on tour.
For me, the best thing about freestyle is enjoying myself. It's what happens when I get on a bike. As soon as I get on, I start having fun. And that's what I love most. The worst thing about freestyle and about any sport is the injuries when you take a fall. When you hurt yourself and feel the pain, when your body just doesn't feel right.
Despite struggling with injury all year, 2011 was a remarkable season for DT as he won the X-Fighters Tour for the first time.
Last year, I had an accident after the first round of the tour in Dubai. I broke 5 bones in both feet, 2 of which still weren't right, so I had to have an operation at the beginning of this year. It's now 4 months since the op, and I still don't have very good sensation in my foot. So I'm hoping to recover quickly and get back in top shape as quickly as possible.
Dany has coped well with the injury and the lengthy recovery process. And that's no surprise when you find out about the struggle he's faced just to break into his sport as a youngster. When we met the 25-year-old in his hometown of Arajal near Seville, Dany took us off on a little road trip with his girlfriend Angela and brother Jose to find out more about his beginnings in the sport.
Now I want you to meet someone very important to my career. Come on.
A short drive from Dany's home is a motorbike shop owned by Paco de las Heras. Dany spent a lot of time with Paco and his dad here as a child, along with Jose. Paco met Torres for the first time when he was just a small boy. And he's had a significant influence on Dany's development.
I've known Paco for years. It's a long story because when I first started to compete in motocross, the first help I ever got was from him. We spent many hours together in this workshop, preparing motorbikes, getting things ready. I remember staying here until the early hours of the morning because we were getting ready for a competition the next day. I spent lots of time here. I have great memories of this place and the help Paco gave me, especially when I was young and just starting out.
I got to know Dany when he was taking part in a classification race when he was really young. And when he finished, he was crying, in floods of tears, because he was so frustrated by the limitations he was working with. He was so small, and I was really struck by the force of his character, and also by the way he seemed to be such a natural rider. It was such an early race for him, but still, I think that was the day he really decided in himself that he wanted to be a motorbike rider. And for me, it was really a great moment, and I decided I wanted to be with him and support him.
I remember that day feeling frustrated because there was an exit and an upward slope on a bend, and I could never get up to the top of the slope on any of the bends. I was only 6 years old, and I was so frustrated. The anger you feel when you want to do something and you just can't get there. The anger that also pushes you to get on the bike and get round the circuit at least.
Paco's garage became a favourite haunt for Dany and his family, and Paco took on an even more significant role when they hit financial difficulties.
People around here appreciate Dany for the way he's struggled so hard to achieve things, and the way he's gone about it, and the way he keeps working at it. I know things were really tough for him and for his dad. I remember once his dad, Ramon, came to try to buy a bike, and he said to me, "Paco, if I can't get a bike, Dany won't be able to carry on competing." And that is when the full significance of what he was saying fell on me. He was saying Dany would have to stop competing.
I was still pretty small. I'm 3.5 years older than Dany, but what I remember is that we didn't have much money in the home. Dad was working really hard and then coming home and taking Dany off to train or compete. And come Sunday night, Dad would be working again, and then straight on the next day the same. It was a hard time for us. He was working really hard, but not getting very far. And then we met Paco, and he really helped us out.
It was the most important thing that helped me move forward, not just in freestyle, but if you look back all those years, I was competing in motocross to start with. All the time struggling, not winning anything, but we were struggling together, working hours together here. We didn't have new bikes to work with, but bit by bit we struggled on together. And that's what I love most about sport, being able to keep on fighting and going forward.
Dany's father, Ramon, was a useful footballer when he was younger, but foot injuries seemed to run in the family. A serious one ended his football days, and it still causes him problems. So Ramon switched his focus to Dany and his love of motorbikes.
We're down in the basement of my house, which is where we keep practically all of Dany's bikes. And also a lot of clothing and helmets and equipment and other stuff. This is the motorbike for Dany's little boy, who's now 2 years and 8 months old. More or less the same age that Dany was when he started. It's a 4-stroke engine, 50cc. We're hoping that our grandson follows in the footsteps of his dad. He loves motorbikes, and so we gave him this bike to have here. And as you can see over here on the trailer, we've put Dany Torres and Dany Torres. I love it. It makes me so proud. I'm a little lost for words when I see it.
Eneko, Dany's son by a previous girlfriend, looks to be heading into the family business. And Ramon was also key to Dany's development.
Ever since we began, more or less, the only person who has touched his bikes has been me. He doesn't train or even get onto his bike until I say it's perfectly ready for him. The truth is that he's never been to train or compete on his own. I am always there. I always go with him. If I can't be there for some reason, then Dany won't go out and train. I have to be there for him to train. That's just how it is. In one way, I think that's a good thing. But on the other hand, perhaps if I'm not able to be around, it would be good for him to have confidence in another mechanic. But up till now, ever since he began all those years ago, I'm the only person who touches his bike.
Since I first started out in motorsport, my father has been my friend, my mechanic, my manager. He's taken me everywhere to train or compete, all over the place. I have 100% confidence in him and everything he does. He organizes everything for me, he prepares everything for me. And the truth is, we have a really equal relationship, the pair of us. A really good one. And there's a great sense of trust between both of us as well.
Up till now, we get on really well. He trusts me when I tell him, test it. It should be fine for you now. And there hasn't been any major problem with his bike. Up till now, anyway.
If Ramon's basement is where all the work goes on to make sure that DT can perform to his very best when he's competing at events all around the world, then Dany's own house across the street from his parents shows the fruits of all that labour.
You've seen my dad's place, check out mine. These are just some of my favourite trophies. This is the first one I ever won in my motocross career. Just a little trophy, but I love it. And there are different ones from the Red Bull X Fighters, like London, and this one from Madrid. And a Mexican hat as well. Good for my next holiday there. And then there are more trophies upstairs, which are also pretty special. These trophies are also really important for me, but I'm tired now, and you know that taking a siesta is important here in Andalusia. So that's it for now. I'm going to have a rest. That's enough.
We'll leave them there for now. It's not clever to interrupt a siesta in this part of Spain. After their little break, we'll visit the practice track that Dany's dad has built and discover the philosophy that DT lives by.
It says, where some see the fear, I find fun.
Meet the youngsters training with Dany.
He's a great guy. He helps me out a lot. Every day he points out something new.
And enjoy a taste of local Andalusian culture. We've been finding out about Dany Torres, the Red Bull X Fighters World Tour champion.
For me, the best thing about freestyle is enjoying myself.
We've met his dad, Ramon, who's also his manager, mate and mechanic.
There hasn't been any major problem with his bike. Up till now, anyway.
And we've committed the cardinal sin of disturbing a Spaniard siesta. We've travelled to Arahal, a small town in Andalusia in southern Spain, to meet Dany and his family. The Torres family struggled financially when Dany was starting out, but his success has transformed things. DT now lives opposite his parents and brother Jose in a new development in town. A short drive into the countryside, they're doing up the family's summer home and keen to get the pool in proper use sooner rather than later.
I try to live life as well and as peacefully as possible. I try to do everything as well as I can and make sure there's time for family, motorbike and friends. And I try to have fun. I think if you enjoy yourself in life, it can take you a long way.
The summer home is another family project. Dany's father Ramon shares the work with his brother and the boys get called on to help out, world champion or not.
It's hard work coming every day to water and everything else.
It's my uncle who does most of the work around here.
Dany's still getting back to full fitness after an operation on his injured foot following a crash last year, with several pins now holding it together. And his brother Jose has also broken his own foot playing football. They're pretty inseparable.
I still have problems with recuperation from the op. My ankle hurts a lot and the clips inside do too. But it's getting better, so that's something.
But despite the pain Dany still feels in his foot, practice goes on. Not necessarily because he's so competitive, just because he needs to get on his bike.
What makes me most happy is being with my family and getting on my motorbike. If I spend a week without riding, I feel a bit sad, not in a good state of mind.
Ramon built most of this circuit himself to allow his son to train near home.
It's about 7 years we've had this circuit here. We did it ourselves because it was easier to have different things and obstacles that we wanted here. And to be able to prepare for nearly all the things you see at all the other circuits as well.
Dany may be world champion, but there are no special favours in this family, and that means he doesn't avoid any of the chores when he trains.
Every single time before we train, we come out and look at the circuit. It's important to make sure everything's okay, and also to hose it down a bit so that there's no dust. And also just to get into the feel of it a bit. I enjoy watering the circuit. I can see how much water's put down and make sure it's all just right. But sometimes I come here with friends, and we all take turns watering the track. And it's also good for me. Good to come out here and check before I ride that the surface is just right to ride on.
The circuit was built for Dany's career, but he now wants to use it as a base for his own freestyle school to help young riders in the region follow him onto the international circuit. He hopes to make the school his primary focus when he finishes on the world tour. Two of the most promising local youngsters are here today, in Abraham Parra and Christian Mayer. Just being around Dany is massive for the pair of them.
He's a great guy. He helps me out a lot. Every day he points out something or helps me improve in some way or other.
It's amazing to train with the best freestyle motocross rider in the world. I'm really proud and I learn loads from him. He notices things and tells you about them, so you're always getting better.
And they're clearly picking up some tricks.
They're young and developing really quickly, and they have good style and are also very courageous, which is very important in freestyle. So if they carry on giving everything and don't get bored of the sport, then I think they can both go a long way.
Dany is still getting back to full speed after his surgery, but that doesn't mean he's taking it easy.
After an accident, it is a little difficult when you return to the motorbike. You have a bit more respect. Not fear, but respect. Just from understanding that you can do yourself harm when you do get back on the bike. But as you keep on practicing, each time you go out on the motorbike after an injury, it gets a little easier. And then eventually you do get back the confidence you had before.
And that confidence is clearly coming back. Even taking it easy on his injured foot, Dany defies gravity. His range of tricks and the amount of time he seems to have to complete them are apparent, even in a short training session. Dany's attitude to his sport and to life is summed up by one of his many tattoos.
I've loads of tattoos. This one is a bit like a Joker, but I prefer a girl's face. And then below it says, where some see the fear, I find fun. It's also there because people are always asking me if there is any fear in freestyle motocross. And I think that we all have fun doing freestyle, and that's why I got the tattoo done. Here I have a small caricature of my brother, because he loves BMX. So it's a BMX, a guy, and also his nickname. And here I have one for my son. And over here my mother's name too. I hope to do some more, but I'm not sure where I'll be able to put them.
Spend time with Dany and it's clear just how important family is to him. His brother Jose and his father are always around him, as well as girlfriend Angela, who's expecting another Torres baby, this time a daughter. After training, a restaurant in town is their next stop.
We're in a typical bar here in Arahal. Just look on the wall. There are pictures of bullfighters, flamenco singers, and also a few motorbike riders too. And this is somewhere we come a lot to eat together. It's somewhere you get great food and a warm welcome. It's typical of Arahal. I feel great in this town. I'm surrounded by good people here, not just family. And little by little, I'm becoming better known around town. I wouldn't swap it for anywhere. I don't spend much time here because I'm often training or competing away from home. But the time I do get to spend here, I love.
Then it's on round the corner to another bar in town.
We finished eating, and now we're at my cafe, La Balada. It's only been open about 5 months. Come in. Let me explain the cafe. The bar is all made in wood to be a bit rustic and typical of the area. And this afternoon, we have a bit of flamenco going on, which is typical of the region here in Andalusia.
Flamenco isn't just for tourists. For many young people around here, it's just as popular as hip-hop or R&B.
Flamenco is most typical of Andalusia and Seville in particular. For any kind of person or age of person as well. It's beautiful music and it's entertaining too.
On the X Fighters tour, Dany Torres is as hard-charging as the best of them. But at home in Andalusia, life's lived at a very different pace.
Family is the most important thing for any sportsman. I'm lucky enough that my father, my mother, and my brother all support me 100%. And I think that is what allows me to get better and to move on in my sport. Because if you have your family behind you, it's much easier than if you were doing it all on your own.
He's a strong guy, a real battler. Quite apart from what he does on a motorbike, where he is #1 in the world after all. He showed what he's about last year, when he had the injured foot, and he just carried on and tolerated all the problems he had with it all year, and kept on competing despite the pain. And he got his reward. He was injured all year, but he still ended up as world champion.
So that's Dany Torres, the big talent from the small town.
Well, you've seen my life here. I'll leave you with a bit more Red Bull X Fighters action.
Because when someone is this good at what he does, you may as well finish on a high note.